What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another monthly update, and today we're going to be talking about why this tank is half on and half off. But before that, I need to do a water change on one of the tanks, so let's go ahead and do that real quick and then we'll get right back to this. Alright, so I had to get that water change out of the way for the week, and today let's go ahead and start with this tank, and we'll go back and feed the anemones inside here, and we'll talk about the tank rack inside as well. So let's talk about this tank real quick. So why do I have my lights on one side and off on the other side? No, it's not broken. I actually just unplugged it. So everything is working, but as you can see here, the tank is a little bit cloudy. And in my previous video, the tank was cloudy as well, but it wasn't as bad as this. But definitely there was some cloudiness to the tank, just because really there's nothing in here except for the fish at one point, like I mentioned, and then I added the snails to kind of remove the algae on the walls. That got taken care of. And then I added the 2 shrimps because we were having issues with the blue tang. It looks like the blue tang, whatever it had on its head, now gone. It's been removed and it's been happy. It's been kind of going back and forth to the shrimp to kind of get clean maybe like once a week, but not really as heavily when I added the shrimp in. So the shrimps are down here just kind of chilling. But he seems happy. He seems a lot better. And also we added some new corals in here as well, right? Just some mushrooms, and I don't know what happened to the blue mushroom. It might be gone. But I added them up here, along here, and then one down here, just kind of different tiers or whatever. And that's why this one light is on. For this side is because we have the corals mainly on this side and really nothing on this side. But that is not the only reason why I only have light on this side. So it started maybe last week, just one random day. The whole tank just became super cloudy. It looked like a bacterial bloom initially, where like you couldn't see this tank at all through the thing. And then it started turning like more green, so the water started turning more green, so like kind of like an algae bloom. Initially I thought it was like a bacterial bloom just because we have additional livestock in the tank, with the shrimp, with the snails eating the algae and pooping and whatever, right? And maybe it just needs to be balanced, right? And that's why I initially thought, but it literally turned completely white, and from white to green within one day, and then from that it was lasting for more than like 3 days. So I was like, what is going on? I did like a 30% water change, so somewhere down to like here-ish. Did that water change thinking that we have some excess organics in the tank that might be causing the algae bloom. Waited a couple of days, same thing, it didn't really improve. So I took some action. Turn off one light because I don't really need this light. There's nothing really, corals or anything growing on that. Turn off one light to help reduce the light input into the tank with the algae growth. Now I'm talking about literally this whole tank was green, right? So like I couldn't see through here. Like the only time I would see these fish was when they were like against this wall here, and you kind of see like their shadow. So it was that bad. And I've never actually had it happen that bad before. So, and then of course down on the sump here we added Shado just to help with the organics, and this was like last month. It looks like it's growing just fine. I also added a bag of carbon thinking I had a bunch of organics to remove that. Added a new filter socks to kind of siphon anything out that maybe, organic wise. And then also I added in, this thing keeps floating up, but this right here is a UV sterilizer in the back here. So this I have in here as well to help with possible, algae bloom, and it looks like it's been helping and been working. So after doing all that, approximately 3 days after, this is what the tank looks like. I think it's going to improve a little bit more. I'm thinking that it was a mix of algae bloom and maybe bacterial bloom. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what my guess is. The cloudiness, like I said, has always been here. It's just gotten a lot worse. So that's what I'm thinking, and hopefully all that will help this tank get a little bit cleaner. I already did a water change for this tank for the week, so it is what it is for that. As you can see, like, the floor is actually pretty clean. Like, the time I actually siphon this is when I see poop, debris on here, on the floor from the fish, right? Because it's just a bare bottom tank. I'll siphon all that and, refill it and kind of go from there. But yeah, this tank, it needs some work. It's slowly getting there. Added some macroalgae in here for the fish to munch on. I try to do this once a week. And then I would alternate between this and then some sort of like seaweed, like a dry seaweed that they'll munch on. So they've ate half of it already, so it's part of it is on the floor, but that's like the other half right there that's been stuck onto that pump there. But yeah, so this is what's going on with this tank. Oh, and the other thing. All right, the other thing that I think contributed to that algae bloom is my RODI water or filter here. This is brand new filters. I think it was way overdue. This was like kind of like a brown color. This was kind of like a brown color. And then this normally turns to like I think like a green or like a brown or a yellow color when it's like used up. And that was that color as well. And then on top of that, what made it worse and kind of made me a little bit lazy was this right here, this meter. Like normally you can turn it on, you can kind of see the input from your tap water to see how much parts per million it comes in. It's normally like 3, 9 or whatever it is, and then the output of it when it gets filtered is like it's supposed to be 0, right? And then when you have values here is when you're supposed to change the filter. But this thing ran out of battery, and I was just like too lazy to buy it because it's like a special little battery or whatever. Put it off, so I didn't even know what this was reading coming out, of this. I was just running it for a while, and then finally I was like, you know what, let me just go get some battery. Replaced it, definitely high. So changed all the filters, and I think that I was refilling the tank up, which is basically high TDS forever, and yeah, it probably contributed to the organics in that tank. So hopefully with the new filters and some changes in that Reef tank, water will slowly clear up. But yeah, let's go ahead inside to the other rack and let's feed the anemones. All right, so let's feed the anemones their weekly food. So I normally switch it up. 1 week I'll do shrimp, and then the other week I'll do pellets. I basically just feed them once a week. Plus they get like flakes throughout the week as well. So they're pretty big chunks here because these guys are pretty big. If you guys don't know how big these guys are, so here's my hand. I'm gonna put my hand in here, and this is how wide they are to my hand. Ginormic. So here's one for him and one for the other guy back here. So they're pretty dang big here. So look at that. That's one whole anemone right here. Look at this guy. Same thing with this guy back here. So they'll eat that. All right, so let's move on to the other side. Same thing over here. I'll do this guy's not really open fully just because he's not happy right now because I ended up switching his rock kind of upside down and he didn't really like it. But look at this guy back here. I'll show you in a second here. So let's feed this guy first. This guy's big too, I'm gonna flip him towards me here a little bit, but look how big this guy is. That's my hand. This guy in the back is even bigger. I think this is the biggest one I have here. So this is my hand. He's way bigger than my hand by probably another hand and a half or so. But let's go ahead and give him that. He'll eat that. So yeah, crazy. Crazy and giant anemones. Love it. Let's go ahead and give the clownfish or tangs one little guy. Alright, so the anemones are fed, they're happy. We had that water change a little bit earlier in the video, so it'll probably take some time to balance out and they'll probably get happy and these anemones will open up a little bit more. But nothing really has changed. Corals are pretty much the same. The mushrooms are all the same. It looks like we've lost some of the blue mushrooms for whatever reason. They're kind of short up. It's kind of sad. And yeah, so I don't know what's going on with those guys, but as long as the anemones are doing fine, I'm good. Clownfish are kind of bouncing back because we have two big ones. They'll bounce from here to over here, so it's their choice. They can kind of swim wherever they want because you know it's their whole paradise over here. So, and tanks up top in the rack, not much really going on. Move some of this macroalgae over here for the tank to eat. I normally try to clear this out. So this was a lot of macroalgae actually filled to the top, to the brim here. So I try to take it out so that it's able to grow again. Feed it to them once a week. Feed these guys a little bit as well. There's a tank in there, and also the little tank has a few angels and tangs in there, so they'll eat all that once a week. Kind of get their veggies in, their greens in, and down here in the sump, Shado slowly coming back. I know a lot of people too want Shado to kind of jumpstart their system, and has been asking when it will be in stock or whatever in the website. So normally what I do is I will grow them during the winter months, and I'll have this filled and I'll trim it or basically scale back to like basically maybe 2 small like softball sizes and sell everything. And then I'll wait probably another like 6 months before these are will fill up to the top again, and I'll sell it again. So probably I would say in another 2 or 3 months these guys will be ready to be sold. So I would say like end of summer-ish, close to the fall, there'll be another batch available if you guys are looking for some clean Shado. But yeah, so nothing really has changed much for this rack. Everything's been running pretty much the same. So yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, next time guys, peace.